This is very concerning for the Devils as they make multiple avoidable mistakes, some mistakes they hadn't made all year, leading to shocking in-game stat lines and a less than desirable scoreboard. Welcome in to Devils Digest. Glad that you guys are here today. So Devils travel down to Tampa on a 5-game point streak. Yeah, that's gone. 5-1 win tonight. Tampa Bay takes the Devils. Look, this game, start of the game, really good. Look, I really like New Jersey's start. I know that they were, fell down 1-0 early. And with that goal, I'm not really going to blame anyone on the Devils. Look, in the NHL today, you got to be aggressive defensively. Devils were in the offensive zone trying to create some pressure. They were aggressive defensively. They were shortening the ice. They get an odd man rush the other way. Jacob Markstrom, tough position. Look, goals like that I'm okay with. Look, those type of goals are going to happen. The NHL today, defensemen are taught offense. You got to shorten the ice. You got to be aggressive. Brad Shaw has done a fantastic job at developing these younger defensemen like a Simone Nemec, being more offensive. We've seen him be a ton more offensive. So goals like that, I don't have as big a problem with. You hope the goalie makes a save. If he doesn't make a save, well, you were doing something right. You were trying to create offense. You were trying to shorten the ice. It's just sometimes that's how the NHL is. There's a lot of skilled players out there who are going to create opportunities for themselves. Jake Guentzel, well, yeah, he created a few tonight, a hat trick for Jake Guentzel tonight. Now, where this game maybe I think went wrong, because first period, Devils had a pretty nice number of shots on goal. Was probably where that Nikita Kucherov goal got scored. End of the period, 22 seconds left. Look, those goals inside of a minute or first minute of a period, they change the whole complexion of a game. Look, you can go out there and you kind of predict what's going to happen and see what's going to happen and know kind of where, your matchups are. You can't predict for goals inside the final minute of a period or the first minute of a period. Look, it sets off the game completely. You're going to the locker room at a 1-0 game. You played good in the first period. You're on a 5-game point streak. That completely changed the whole entire complexion of a game. And now I know it's a 5-1 game and you're saying to yourselves, well, how can one goal really change anything? Well, when you're in a game where you're looking good and you're only down 1-0 on the road, injured, it definitely does do a little bit something to your mental. You definitely feel the game, play the game a little bit differently. A 2-0 game is a lot different than 1-0. 1-0, you feel like you're, in it. Not that you're not in it at 2-0, but you're definitely looking at it a different way. I mean, the way you have to score goals, outscore the other team changes. That's what happens when the scoreboard goes up. I know it's the obvious, but a 2-0 game when they score the second goal with 5 minutes to go instead of 22 seconds, a lot different. It just gives a different feel to the game. Now, I know that goal, and I've been seeing it a little bit around, social media, and I'll be honest, I missed it at first. People are saying that it should have been icing, that, the defender was being grabbed, that Luke Hughes was tripped in the corner. Look, at the end of the day, refs are going to miss calls. Look, and not everything's going to go your way. Is it unfortunate? Yes. Did it change how the game's played? Absolutely. I just said that. But with that goal going in with under a minute to go, 22 seconds to be exact, and Nikita Kucherov all alone in front, the defenders in the corner, those type of things can't happen. That's a defensive breakdown. The first goal, totally fine with it. You're aggressive, you're in the offensive zone, you're trying to create a scoring chance, puck comes out, Guentzel in on the breakaway, scores, he scored enough tonight. That one, I'll leave it behind. But that goal, the end of the period, 22 seconds left, defenders in the corner, probably the guy you don't want to touch the puck the most, Nikita Kucherov, all alone in front. Those ones can't happen. Whether there's a penalty, whether there should have been an icing or not, those ones can't happen. Period. You can't leave Nikita Kucherov in front of the net. And I mean, Sheldon Keefe said it after the game. He said their star guys, had way too much fun tonight. That's exactly what happened. Jake Guentzel scored a hat trick. Nikita Kucherov had a goal and an assist. I mean, tonight, their stars were their stars. And that's how hockey games are played nowadays. If your stars are your stars, you give yourself a good chance to win the game. Tampa Bay stars were their stars. What happened? Well, they came with a 5-1 win. New Jersey looked flat. New Jersey, from the first period on, wasn't so great. Third period really wasn't so good. They got a goal later with Nico Hischier late in the second period. Game was already 3-0. I mean, now I'm not saying that 3-0 game is not insurmountable to come back from, but it was 3-0, 3-1. It didn't go New Jersey's way. Now, some things that I think I've been seeing from fans and people being a little bit more concerned about just from a big picture, just looking around, going in to new games after this one. What are fans kind of looking at and kind of going, well, you know what? This might be a problem. This is an issue for the New Jersey. They need to figure this out. Jacob Markstrom did not have his best game tonight. Look, the Devils defensively, going into the third period, I was ready to come on here and say Devils defensively looked pretty good. I mean, I know it was a 3-1 game. They could have scored more, but we had to wait for another period. And good thing we did wait for another period, because I think defensively in the third period, they were not very good. But Jacob Markstrom definitely struggled tonight. Look at what just wasn't Jacob Markstrom's game. It hasn't been Jacob Markstrom's month. I mean, right now, looking at it, he's only had one game with over a 900 save percentage. That was a really good one against LA, 977. He got them the win there. But these other games, 842, 875, 850, 828, 5 goals allowed, 3 goals in every other game. I mean, those are the type of stat lines you really can't get from your star goaltender. Now, would I say, am I thinking about Jake Allen being the starter going forward? No, absolutely not. I mean, you go ahead and you look at what you're paying these guys, the type of contracts they're on, what you did to bring them in. You have to go with Jacob Markstrom. I mean, just quite plain and simple. And I know, management might want to go with him because they gave up those things and, they're paying him more and they just sent him to a new contract extension. I mean, just either way, there's reasons. Look, there's things that go into that, and understand, sometimes you're wrong. You're usually not wrong with a guy who's been in the league for over a decade. Usually, you know what they are. You know what they are. You know what they're going to be. It's not like a rookie where you're betting on it, where the Devils bet on Jack Hughes to become a superstar. And guess what? They got a really nice deal out of it. You weren't doing that with Jacob Markstrom. You saw Jacob Markstrom as your starting goaltender. You saw him be your best player in the playoffs last year. Jacob Markstrom is your starter. Okay, let's not go into it and start going, oh, Jake Allen in November is your new starter. Okay, November, we're starting to say Jake Allen is the new starter of this team. Okay, when Jake Allen goes on a bad stretch, are we going to start going back to Markstrom? I mean, we can't just keep going back and forth between, oh, this is our starting goaltender, this is our starting goaltender. No, one gets paid to be our starting goaltender, and one's had the numbers of being a starting goaltender throughout his career. Now, Jake Allen, a little bit older, he's been a backup the past few years. Very good backup, very capable backup. But he's not going to be our starter. Our starter is Jacob Markstrom. You have to go with Jacob Markstrom. Look, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too worried about Jacob Markstrom all of a sudden falling off of a cliff. I don't think that this injury, I know he had an injury. I don't think this is a long-term thing. Maybe short-term right now. It's affecting his play. I like Jacob Markstrom as a starter. I'm not too worried about it. I understand fans are going to come out here and start talking about how, Jacob Markstrom hasn't looked very good. But let's not talk about Jake Allen all of a sudden becoming the starter, because that doesn't make a ton of sense when you just paid a guy, just extended him. He has the numbers throughout his career, was the best player in the playoffs last year. I think last April, we all would have said, yeah, Jacob Markstrom is a starter going forward. I mean, Jacob Markstrom is a starter. He's struggling. You have to stick with your ace. Because when he came back from injury, he struggled too. And what would have happened if they didn't go with Jacob Markstrom as, the playoff goaltender against Carolina? That's nothing against Jake Allen. You're going to go with your ace. But what also was a little bit concerning tonight, among some of the other things, was the power play. Look, I said last or couple episodes ago, going into that Washington game, when you're going to be down guys like Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton, and you weren't maybe going to get the type of scoring chances 5-on-5 that you were going to get, your power play had to come through. Well, tonight you can see it right there. Tampa Bay's power play came through. Devils' power play did not. 0 for 4. And an 0 for 4 power play, 0 for 2 in the first period in a 1-0 game, those type of stat lines can't happen. Those type of stat lines is what loses you games. 2 for 3 on the power play is what wins you games. Actually, if the Tampa Bay only scored on the power play tonight, they would have won the game. So that's what you need. Tampa Bay tonight, well, their star players came through. And you can go ahead and go Devils, oh, they're out without Jack Hughes, their number one star, changes the offense. Well, it does. But you still need your star players to come through. Now, Nico Hischier, he got a goal. He needed one. He had one in 7 games. They needed a goal from him. That was great. But from a total game standpoint, Devils just got outscored by their stars. Their stars were better than ours tonight. I mean, just looking at the points, Jake Guentzel, hat trick. Nikita Kucherov, 2 points. Really important goal at the end of the first period. Brayden Point also had a point tonight. Look, things went wrong. 5-1 loss. You're on a 5-game point streak. You went 4-0-1. Games like this are going to happen. They're not great. Last time we were down here, we dominated Tampa. This time, much different situation. Simone Nemec looked really good tonight, though. Gotta give him his props. Look, Bradshaw's playing him right. You're letting him play offensive. You're letting him take chances. And now that confidence is coming back, I mean, you're seeing the skill. He's a smart player. He's looked really good offensively. Keep him there. Let me know what you think in the comments, though. Are you nervous going forward? What do you think going forward with the injuries? I know there's a ton. It's the NHL. We got some players back. Was nice. Not so nice score tonight. Let me know down in the comments. Give your thoughts below. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully it's a subscribe button. And I'll see you guys all really soon.